Good evening. This is a foreigner in the Philippines. Okay, well, I thought I'd tell you that next to my bed I have two books. One is the Bible. Yes, sorry about those people who had me taped as being taped and put in a box and all sealed away as being a non-believer, a pagan, and other derogatory terms. Sorry about that, but I do have a Bible by my bed and I do read it. Now, the other book that I have is another different kind of Bible. It is Catch-22. Now, Catch-22 is actually a phrase that people use and they don't know why or how that expression, which is so popular and I think is actually in the dictionary now, came about. Well, it came about through a fabulous book, a best-selling book that was written by an incredible writer called Joseph Heller. Now, I'm going to, with your agreement, and if you don't agree you'll have turned off by now so you won't even hear this. Okay, but I'm going to read from the Catch-22. It's one of my favourite, really is one of my favourite books, brilliantly written. And it is the part in which Doc Danica explains to Yossarian Catch-22. So here we go. It was a horrible joke, but Doc Danica didn't laugh until Yossarian came to him one mission later and pleaded again, without any real expectation of success, to be grounded. Doc Danica snickered once and was soon immersed in problems of his own, which included Chief White Halford. Now, I should really have explained to you before I started on this that Catch-22 is about the Second World War and a bomber group that were operating in Italy, and they were these were the trials, travails of the people that were within that group, and Yossarian is the main character, and he's the one through which we see the whole story. So, Yossarian. And Yossarian here, Chief White Halford, who had been challenging him all that morning to Indian wrestle, and Yossarian, who decided right then and there to go crazy. You're wasting your time, Dr. Danica was forced to tell him. Can't you ground someone who's crazy? Oh, sure, I have to. There's a rule saying I have to ground anyone who's crazy. Then why don't you ground me? I'm crazy. Ask Clevenger. Clevenger? Where is Clevenger? You find Clevenger and I'll ask him. Then ask any of the others. They'll tell you how crazy I am. They're crazy. Then why don't you ground them? Well, because they're crazy. Why don't they ask me to ground them? Because they're crazy, that's why. Of course they're crazy, Doc Danica replied. I just told you they're crazy, didn't I? And you can't let crazy people decide whether you're crazy or not, can you? Yossarian looked at him soberly and tried another approach. Is Orr crazy? He sure is, Doc Danica said. Can you ground him? I sure can, but first he has to ask me. That's part of the rule. Then why doesn't he ask you to do it? Because he's crazy, Doc Danica said. He has to be crazy to keep flying combat missions all over the close calls he's had. Sure, I can ground Orr, but first he has to ask me to. That's all he has to do to be grounded? That's all. Let him ask me. And then you can ground him, Yossarian said. No, then I can't ground him. You mean there's a catch? "Sure there's a catch," Dr. Danica replied. "Catch 22. Anyone who wants to get out of combat duty isn't really crazy." There was only one catch, and that was catch 22, which specified that a concern for one's own safety in the face of dangers that were real and immediate was the process of a rational mind. All was crazy and could be grounded. All he had to do was ask, and as soon as he did, he would be no longer crazy and would have to fly more missions. Or would be crazy to fly more missions and sane if he didn't. But if he was sane, he had to fly them. If he flew them, he was crazy and didn't have to. But if he didn't want to, he was sane and had to. Yossarian was moved very deeply by the absolute simplicity of this clause of catch 22 and let out a respectful whistle. "That's some catch, that catch 22, he observed. "It's the best there is," Dr. Danica. So that's my little trip through catch 22. Maybe now you understand why catch 22 is the killer that it really is. There's no better catch than catch 22. If you want it, you can have it if you just ask. But if you ask, you can't have it. Catch 22. You should get a copy, put it by your bedside. This is A Foreigner in the Philippines. Hope you enjoyed that. Bye for now.